Horrific time for police at the moment.
Yeah, it's no secret being a cop is a tough and often thankless gig, but it was reinforced in the most awful fashion in the early hours of Thursday morning. A young constable hit and dragged under a vehicle while at work. His fellow officers had to lift the car off him before they could perform CPR. This is the kind of nightmare the police union has been fearing. And it's not just cops who risk their lives and face violence. Paramedics are copping it too. Imagine being an ambo and you rock up at an address to treat a sick person and you're spat on or punched or stabbed.
It's disgusting. Paramedics are being treated like punching bags.
Yeah, and just this week, ambos who responded to a call for help had their windscreen punched while they were inside the ambulance.
Apparently the glass only just missed them.
Yeah, it's shocking behaviour and the vehicle is still off the road. This financial year, there have been 215 violent incidents against ambos and 54 paramedics have suffered injuries. Drugs and alcohol are almost certainly a factor in these incidents, but that doesn't make it any less despicable, and it's forced St John WA to fit paramedics with body-worn cameras and trial stab-proof clothes.
Honestly, it beggars belief.
Yeah, the health minister is backing the move. She says she has zero tolerance for ambo assaults. They've got enough issues without being attacked. Police Minister Paul Papalia is also pissed off about any violence against his troops. But tough talk comes pretty easy in these situations. Let's see some action.
Less action from Philip Lowe would be nice.
That guy. Up until now, I've been an apologist for the Reserve Bank governor, and it hasn't made me the most popular person at parties, but I cut him some slack for raising rates. You got to keep inflation in check somehow, and the federal government is certainly not showing much initiative. So despite all the vitriol that's directed at him, I've often thought the only thing Lowe was guilty of was that 2021 prediction that rates wouldn't go up until 2024.
The board has said that it will not increase the cash rate until actual inflation is sustainably within the 2 to 3% target range.
So what's changed?
Two things, and neither of them are the RBA's decision to hike rates for the 12th time in 14 months. The first was Lowe speaking after the rate rise this week when he admitted it would make things difficult for many Australians. Okay, Captain Obvious, but what I didn't want from Lowe was for him to toss pearls of patronising advice at us from his ivory tower. An ivory tower that is fully paid off BTW, so he doesn't have a mortgage like the rest of us. From that position of privilege, Lowe suggested Aussies doing it tough could cut back spending. Geez, Phil, did you go to business school to learn that nugget of wisdom? What happens if your spending is only on your mortgage and feeding your kids? Pretty hard to cut that back, you dickhead. But it gets worse. Lowe, who gets more than $1 million a year in wages and benefits, said another solution for battlers was finding additional hours of work.
Work harder, bye.
Poor people just need to work harder. Of course, how could we have missed that?
And the other?
Well, if you thought that was out of touch, it's nothing on how tone-deaf the RBA was last month when it staged a ritzy dinner for Perth's top end of town at Fraser's restaurant. The Reserve Bank was acutely aware of the optics, which is why they wanted to keep the cost a secret. Unfortunately for them, Australia has a little something called freedom of information, and you best believe that shit was FOI'd.
This is a freedom of information request.
Yes.
Don't we have to respond?
Yes. And our response will be to refuse it.
Now we know that the RBA dinner cost nearly 25 grand, and we also know the people who attended didn't foot the bill, even though WA's business elite could easily afford it. If that isn't obscene enough, the bill also included a $10 upgrade per person for a fourth canape. A fourth canape! Phil, you can stick that canape up your inflation target.
Hey! The butter's too cold! The butter is too cold! The butter's all
I can live with tough monetary policy, but what I can't live with is a millionaire telling me to cut my spending and work more hours when the RBA is feeding 4 free canapes to the richest people in society.
I am a laughingstock!
I guess he's not the only one who's out of touch.
Yeah, well, banging on about climate change while flying the world in private jets, now Prince Harry is starring in his own courtroom drama. This week, he became the first senior royal in more than 130 years to step into the witness box in a courtroom, and the jury is out on how he did. I won't go into the details, but the gist is the bloke who once did this in Las Vegas and dressed like this at a costume party is now suing the UK's tabloid media for hacking his phone to make him look, and these are Harry's own words, like a thicko. Now, I'm no royal watcher, so I've got no hot take for you, but I do want to take a moment to appreciate the courtroom sketches from the trial. Seriously, is that Harry? If that was a $5 caricature from a busker in the Hay Street Mall, I'd be asking for my money back. This one is even worse. But as rough as these are, they don't even crack my top 3 worst courtroom sketches of all time.
Go on then, what are they?
Well, coming in at number 3, this ripper from last year of the Kardashians from the Black China lawsuit. That guy in the mask at the end is supposed to be Kris Jenner. At number 2, this sketch from earlier this year of Ed Sheeran successfully fighting a claim he plagiarised his hit song Shape of You. Now, I know the shape of Ed Sheeran, and that ain't it. But at number 1, the greatest bad courtroom sketch of them all, this doozy of NFL legend Tom Brady, who used to be married to supermodel Gisele Bündchen and really looks like this, but was drawn by a courtroom artist in 2015 looking like the illegitimate love child of E.T. and Gollum.
The precious.
Maybe these courtroom artists should improve their skills by finding some additional hours of work.
Where have we heard that before?
Hey, you guys.
I'm Ben O'Shea.
For more Up Late, click the subscribe button below.